Question number 33 of the PhilNITS FE morning portion of the exam. In this question, we are being asked, in an operating system where permissions for reading, writing, or executing a file can be independently set as attributes of the file, 1 bit is allocated for each of these 3 permissions to determine whether they are allowed or not. When these 3 bits are configured using an octal value from 0 through 7, the trial results below are obtained. Which of the following is an appropriate trial result? Okay, so if we have the trial results here, it says that when 0 is set, reading, writing, and execution can no longer be performed. When 3 is set, reading and writing can be performed, but execution cannot. When 7 is set, reading, writing, and execution can be performed. This question actually I thought was quite fun, and if I were to explain why it's fun, I think it's because I was able to come up with the solution that eventually led to the correct answer, which is letter B. Now this question I think is also something that if you've done anything related to maybe if you remember binary counting, and of course if you worked on operating systems where you have the reading and writing and execution portion in the terminal, for example, if you're using Linux, then this should be familiar to you as well. And when I said binary counting, what I meant was putting the bits, the 3 bits in this way, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. So we're counting all the possibilities. Okay, so you can see here that I put all the possibilities and I count it in this way. I put the 1 first here, and then we go to the next, then make the 0, and then to the next we put both 1s, and then when we go to the next column we put 1 and then 0, 0, and then 1 here, and then 1 here, and then we go to 1 here, and then 1 here. Alright, then for the last one we have 1, 1, 1. So that type of counting I think should be familiar to those who've done logic, digital design, design of gates and things like that. And because I thought that this one I think is the way to go, and eventually it led me to the correct answer without much more difficulty. I thought that it went well, so it was quite fun for me, because of course if you can't solve it, you get stuck. You thought that this is the solution, but it ends up being the wrong path. Then you have to rack your brains to figure out how to solve it, right? And I think that's when problems arise. That's when you feel that things aren't going as well as they should. Now, in that sense, after putting in the possibilities, what we need to know next is whether we can satisfy the trial results. We have here reading, writing, and execution. Now we need to know whether the bit that we're talking about is for reading, for writing, or execution. And when I did this, I put first RWE because we have here reading, writing, and execution. But later on, we'll find that to satisfy the other results, we'll need to change the sequence. Okay, so we start off first with the first one, this one. When 0 is set, then we get reading, writing, and execution that are not performed, can no longer be performed. Okay, but what about this one? When 3 is set, reading or writing can be performed, but execution cannot. So if we are to look at this part here, when 2 is set, so we get 2 here because if you remember the binary counting, 0, that means we're not including that, but 1 here means that this is 2 to the 1, which is 2, right? And if there's a 1 here, this one is 2 to the 0, and we know that anything raised to 0 is 1, and then 2 to the 2, so that's 2 plus 1 equals 3, and that's how you would do the counting. If there's another column, this one is 2 to the 2, right? 2 to the 2, which means that would be 4, okay? So if we take a look at when 3 is set, 3 is set here, reading and writing can be performed, but execution cannot, okay? So what I did here was, if we have reading here for this column, then we'll need to change the sequence, because here what we have is that when 3 is set, this one 3, then reading and writing can be performed. But we can see here that reading and writing, although writing is 1, reading is 0. So we need to change the sequence so that reading and writing are both okay and execution is 0. Alright, so for example, we interchange the position so that it's now ERW. Of course, you can try out another set of order, but in this case we chose this one, and we'll need to check the third result to satisfy our idea. Okay, so reading and writing can be performed, that's why it's 1 here, and execution is 0. What about when 7 is set? When 7 is set, says that reading, writing, and execution can be performed. So if we look at this, then it seems that our new sequence, our new order is still okay, it's still satisfied, right? Now, given the trial results, what we need to check next is which is the appropriate trial result from the choices. And if you go with letter A, when 2 is set, so this one, reading and writing, or in this case, reading and execution only can be performed. And if we look at our sequence, reading and execution, this one should be performed, but it's not. So A wouldn't be the correct answer, right? What about when 4 is set? When 4 is set, only execution can be performed. And what we can see is E is here. So B is okay, is satisfied. Let's see what about C. When 5 is set, only writing can be performed. And what we can see is that it says here execution as well. So this one is incorrect. What about when 6 is set? Reading and writing can be performed. However, what we have is that execution and writing, or execution and reading here. So this one is also wrong. Again, we know that C, D, and A are wrong because we had to check the trial results to determine the sequence of execution, reading, and writing. Alright? Otherwise, if we went with the wrong one, like for example the first choice that I did, reading, writing, and execution, it won't satisfy the trial results. Okay, we had to satisfy trial results first and from there be able to choose the correct answer, which is letter